Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So I want to give a final judgment on well, make sure I'm up first before I give a final judgment on anything that no one can hear. Alright, so I'm seeing myself moving, and the last time I checked sound, everything was good. So yeah, I want to give a final judgment on the Jordan Chariton Carla Hammond thing. I had the chance to watch the Tim Black interview. That thing was 2.5 hours long. That thing was long. I think Tim Black did a pretty decent job on the interview, to be honest. And it's a difficult interview to do. Because like when you watch that, you think to yourself, if I was doing an interview, how would you go about interviewing the person? And you're having this conversation about these intimate details, these things that are, you know, it's like you have to ask you have to ask the question like, so did he take his pants off? Were you naked? It's like, I don't want to ask that woman those questions. But Tim Black did. Good on Tim Black. It was like, there was one point where she was talking about his friend, his oh god, I can't think of the friend's name, but Jordan's friend, and she said he had an erection, and I was terrified. And it's like, what? You were terrified when he had an erection? I was like, okay, fair enough. I've read all the material that I think has been out on this. I've watched all the videos of that. He's like, who are we to judge? It's me to judge because it's my channel. It's my channel. I am God of this channel, so it's me to judge. And of course, you take this with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. So, yes, so I'll be a judge. I've read all the material that I can get on this. I've watched all the material I can get on this. I've read Jordan's statement on this. And I finally have watched her in her own words. 2.5 hours of her in her own words. So there's a few things. And I'm going to start off with something that's I probably shouldn't say, but it's slightly controversial, but it shouldn't be controversial because it's absolutely true. I look at this, look, taking out anything of the individual for the moment, meaning this situation. What brass tacks, what it boils down to is, Jordan was brought on for TYT, and Jordan was a damn good reporter. I think he was damn good at his job, meaning going to locations that we ourselves were interested in, asking questions that we ourselves were interested in, and not necessarily playing this neutral observer. He told you where he was. You knew where Jordan stood when he was doing the story. And in many respects, from a lefty side, that was your guy going out there. That was almost like if it was you going out there having those conversations, stopping Donald Brazil, asking Donald Brazil, why is there a letter to Donald, to giving a letter and question to the Clinton campaign, and being robust about asking those questions. That was what he was there for. Now, forming truth against the machine. I guess what I'm saying is give him his due, in this sense, from a job standpoint. Anybody as a guy getting hit with this kind of sexual assault thing, it's rough. I would imagine it sucks. Like, nobody wants to be tarred in that way. And once you tar somebody with that, it doesn't even matter whether the person was guilty or not. All that comes out is that guy was accused of sexual assault. So I try to take this stuff from this kind of ambiguous standpoint of, I don't necessarily know what's completely true. And you end up, like any other human being, falling on one side or the other, which doesn't really get you anywhere. Ultimately, you're left with this kind of ambiguous space. You have to give him some level of credit. You have to give her some level of credit. Meaning you're dancing on this tightrope and trying to be fair to both parties. It's like, what's the objective point of view in trying to evaluate a particular situation? Particular situation where each person is coloring the experience in their own particular way. Reality is not objective in this way. A lot of stuff is subjective. How each person was perceiving events as those events were taking place. Now, the Huffington Post article started off saying it was a rape. I'm sorry, man. I've listened to both. I've read Jordan's thing. I've listened to her in her own words. This was not a rape. I'm sorry, this was not a rape. This, I mean, you might say that we were all wasted. You might say we were all hooking up. You can even say that I made a bad choice in doing this. All that's fair game. Taking a rape takes this whole other level. I'm sorry. He didn't forcibly take you in this way. There was no such thing in this. There was nothing, even in the way that she explained this, where Jordan forcibly thrusted himself on her. That never took place. The moment that he understood that she was not into this process, he stopped. Even in her own testimony, he stopped. He stopped. She doesn't even know, and I'm sorry, a lot of the stuff that she's saying, it sounds stilted. It sounds odd. Yeah, I'm sorry. Her testimony just sounds a little weird to me. That being said, what it does sound like, though, is he was massively inappropriate at work. Like, if I take rape off the table, you're still stuck with this thing of this kind of sexual harassment atmosphere. I don't necessarily think that in his head he was being sexually inappropriate, if that makes sense. Like, people are different. That's all I'm saying. People are different. What's okay for him, meaning I am okay doing this. To me, this is an informal process. And because this is an informal process, I am just this kind of open person where I don't necessarily care about, I don't care about these formalities of sorts. Meaning, if this particular woman is here, yes, I want to hook up with this woman. Should you do that at work? No. No. If I did that at work, I would have been fired. I would have been fired. If they caught me having sex on the desk at work, I would have been fired. I understand it's an informal arrangement, but that woman wasn't there to do that. Like, you don't know the quantity that you're dealing with in this situation. Meaning Jordan is pulling people in, and he's just being himself. The problem is you're being yourself, and yourself is probably a little bit of a horn dog, or at the very least, massively sexually inappropriate. Sexually inappropriate. But again, this is contextual, right? To him, to somebody else, there might have been no issue at all. Like, another person in her particular spot might have been perfectly okay with everything that took place. This is to some degree subjective. I try to think to myself, if I was in that spot and the two people started getting it on, would I be okay with it? I would be like, oh my God, these people are fucking it down the road. But I'm more, I don't care in this sense. Like, I'm less bothered by this. I give shit one way or the other. That's up to them. Now, I would think it would be inappropriate. I would think it would be slightly funny. No, I wouldn't take it a bad way. But that's me. That's not everybody else. And if you're bringing people into your workspace, you can't necessarily assume that all of those people are going to be okay with the things that you yourself are doing. Yes, that's massively inappropriate. It's massively inappropriate. And I got to be honest, I do believe her when she's saying that he's like some of the women that he's hitting on, the women who are brought into that particular area. It did sound like, even by the way she was talking about it, that they were in some kind of relationship. Tim Black even made the point. It sounds like you were in a relationship. It sounds like you essentially changed your mind in the sense of, oh my God, I've made a bad choice. I made a bad mistake. It sounds like it's retroactive. Oh my God, I fucked up. That's what it feels like. I'm just saying. I'm giving you my impression. You can say my impression is wrong. You can call me bad names in the box. But that's what it feels like. That's after reading her testimony. And look, you can do it for yourself. I'll put all this stuff in the box at the bottom. Including, I couldn't find the woman who had the conversation with Claudia. But I'm even adding her into the mix. It sounds like to me, everybody was wasted. Jordan's saying a few beers. I don't believe that at all. It sounds like all of them were wasted. It sounds like they started having fun, started getting a little jacuzzi, people started getting randy, people were wasted and randy, and in being wasted and randy, they do what humans tend to do when they're wasted and randy. They start touching each other. She gets into the mix in some way. But it doesn't sound like she was being forced. It doesn't sound like she might have said, oh my God, I don't know what to do. That may be fair. But you weren't forced. It doesn't sound like you were forced. When Jordan finally gets into the mix, at some point they do stop. But it looks like they're wasted, and she is not being... Put it this way, she is not giving a non-consent, if that makes sense. It's like the person is laying there, Jordan is messing with the person is not pushing him away in this sense, and Jordan is just kind of going along with it until he realizes, oh my god, she's not down with this. At which point he stops, he's freaking out, and he's talking to her, trying to, I would imagine, either calm her down or gauge where she is on the freaked out meter. That's what it feels like. She's like, he's talking. But I'm sorry, it does sound like she liked him. Now, you could say that's some hero worship. That may be fair. And you can say that, well, she saw him in a particular light, and so she was more susceptible to be attracted to him in this particular way, or more susceptible to fall in line with that stuff. That's fair. Even that's fair. But rape is, oh man, that's way too strong. That's way, way too strong. And yeah, it sounds like she was jealous at certain points. Like, yeah, it sounds like a relationship. It sounds like she was married, she made a bad choice. She thought something was there when something was not, and it ruined her life. That's what it sounds like. That's just my judgment. As for Jordan, yeah, man, sorry, dude, that's massively inappropriate. Like, I can't see any situation where I am owning a company and I am walking around with my junk out, or I'm flagrantly hitting on my employees. You're their boss. That's the first point. So that makes it weird right off the bat. And yes, it's massively inappropriate. Like, the sex thing blows my mind. I actually believe that one. For whatever, I believe it. I believe it. They're an informal thing. Jordan just seems like he's I just believe that one. I put it that way. I believe it. I believe it. It sounds like he was being a horn dog. It sounds like he was being a horn dog at work. So, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. However you want to gauge, this thing of rape and all this other stuff, at the very least, I think we can agree. And again, we can't even say that as a flat fact. This is just going on testimony that other people gave. This be testimony. But yeah, the other people gave this kind of testimony of this is what was being said, this is how he was acting. And look, I just make the case. People are different. There will be some people who that wouldn't bother one iota. Wouldn't bother one iota. They wouldn't feel pressured by it. They wouldn't feel squat by it. They would just be like, this guy's just being who this guy is. But you have other people who are not that, I guess, open and permissive in this way. Like, they're not open to allowing people to be who they are, in a sense. It grates on them. It's too much. But it's kind of a moot point. You have to modulate that. You can't necessarily be exactly the way you are when you're at work. And we have other people who are coming to work with you. They're not there because they think you're fucking awesome. They're there because they want a job. They want a job. The third point, and I'm trying to be very specific here when I say this, because she has a point. I mean, I think she has a point. I mean, granted, all of them made the choice to go back and get wasted. But come on, man. It's... Yeah. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt in the sense of you're a guy and you're interacting with somebody. But the problem, the thing I hit my head on is you're her boss. It's not just you're a guy. And this particular woman wants a job. Is there an implicit pressure, or is there this kind of pressure associated with this particular arrangement, particularly with the informality of the arrangement itself? Yeah, I think it's problematic. I think it's problematic. Don't think it's rape. No, not at all. And like I said, it does sound like at some point it was a relationship. So, but yeah, putting yourself in that situation is not good. This is not good. It's not good at all. It is not good in the least. Third point. And I hope I'm being clear on this, because I don't want it to be like he's going after her or him. I find elements of both stories to be probably true. It's somewhere in the middle. And then, yeah, third point. Basking in dude's failure is a fail to me. That is a total fail. yes, I'm making a judgment on this because I think it's slightly fucked up. A human being engages in very poor behavior. Let's say it that way. Engages in very poor behavior. And in that poor behavior, that person, from their perspective, may just think, I am just being me. The problem is, being you may have consequences with regards to the way other people are. Those people may not be able to tolerate you being you. And then the question comes up, should they tolerate you being you in a workspace, in this kind of formal setting? That person, being that person, ends up having an orgy with 3 people at work. Now, pursuant to having this orgy, and look, I don't begrudge the orgy, by the way. Have fun. Have at it. But you gotta make sure that everybody is down for the orgy. As opposed to one person flipping out because they're like, oh my god, we just had an orgy. I just had an orgy. I can't take it. I can't take it if I'm a married woman. So yeah, having orgies at work is probably frowned upon. It's probably frowned upon. But because of that, you end up with a thing on Huffington Post saying that you raped somebody, following an investigation taking place that ends up having you fired from your job. Now, however you want to put it, however you want to think about him fucking up, this is not necessarily a great series of events for a human being. And I gotta be honest, I feel bad for the guy. Like, I don't have this thing of, yeah, I feel bad for the guy. He's a human fucking being. And in this case, in one situation, the guy's been tarred as a sexual abuser, as a rapist. And beyond being tarred as a rapist, he lost his job working at TYT while the investigation was taking place. Because what they probably found out, look, based on the merits of the case, before even doing an investigation, you find out that the guy had an orgy at work. It's like, all right, we can't have this guy going to locations having these illicit orgies. This looks bad for TYT. So right off the bat, that's probably why they fired him. It probably wasn't a rape. It was probably the other stuff surrounding the situations. But I felt bad for the guy. I feel bad for the guy. He lost his fucking job. In addition to losing his job, he's been tarred as a rapist. Again, he's been tarred as a rapist. I don't think he was a rapist. I don't think he was a rapist. So I feel bad for the guy. There are other people, however, other channels, and I am not going to name names, but they have been basking in this failure like nobody's business. They've just been wallowing in it, like just going after Jordan whole hog. And it's like, why are you being this bitter and going after the guy who's literally having a fucking hard time? It just seems like a dick move. It seems like a massive, massive dick move to do that. It's one thing to report on a story, but every story that's being reported is coming out in this lavish, clownish way of, I'm just going to joke the fuck out of him while he's having this extraordinarily difficult situation, circumstance. That's a massive dick move. That's all I'm saying. It's one thing if you and I are having to go at each other from the standpoint of content. Like somebody says, I don't like XYZ. These people are going after each other back and forth. Fair enough. Fair enough. For the most part, the playing field in this situation, or the medium that you're going after one another, it's the same. Have at it. Go at each other all you want. Do it in perpetuity. Treat it like it's an existential struggle. Whatever you want to fucking do, have at it. But this goes beyond that. This actually goes into the actual life of the individual. The stuff that you say online isn't real. It doesn't matter. The stuff that affecting that particular person's ability to access goods and services that that particular person needs. It's affecting his real life. It's affecting his real life. I don't know. I just think it's a dick move. I think it's fucked up. I understand this thing of saying, yeah, the guy was masturbatory appropriate. I can understand people saying, oh man, that's fucked up. You shouldn't have done that. That's a bad idea. That's a bad move. I can even understand the case that's sexual harassment in this kind of implicit way. Fair enough. All those things are fair. But basking in somebody losing their ability to support themselves and getting tarred a rapist when most likely, even going by Tim Black's interview, was not a rapist. Oh man, yeah. That just seems like a dick move. That's all. That's all. And by the way, I actually liked Tim Black's interview. I thought he did a good job. I mean, as good of a job as you can be in that situation. It's like you're asking questions to somebody who's... It just seems... I'll say watch the interview for yourself. I'm not going to inject too much into it. I gotta be honest, I didn't believe her. That's all. It's like there were parts of it where I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That sounds about right. There were other parts where the answers were hard to pull out. Like she didn't necessarily want to say it. Like she wasn't necessarily being honest. And other parts was like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I can see it. That's just my own take. You can have your own. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I mean, this has gone 20 minutes. So. Oh, wow. We had a lot of people and a lot of comments. All right, here we are. Haven't been following, but I'm intrigued. Yeah, Marla, it's a little weird. Who leaked Huffington Post? Well, it wasn't the leak. Somebody actually put the article out on HuffPost. I put a document at the bottom that showed the original article. Matt Rape agreed she put herself in a compromised position, but hell, she should have said stop. No one got up and walked out. Yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, I agree. Like she was saying, like she like broke down and didn't know how to respond and that type of stuff. I understand. I mean, maybe she was slightly freaked out by the experience. Yeah, man, there's a part in the video I could not help laughing. She said, what's his name, had an erection, and she says, I was terrified. It was like, you're terrified by the black guy's erection. Why? Like, why are you terrified? Like, that's such an odd way to describe what's taking place. You're having an orgy. Congratulations. Now, it would be better if you weren't married. That is absolutely true. And whether you were completely infatuated with the participants of that orgy or not, you were wasted. All of you guys were getting it on or on the process of getting it on. Yeah, saying no. It's like you can't blame the person if that person doesn't necessarily know that you're not consenting. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It didn't sound like Jordan raped her. If there was rapists, it was the other girl, right? God gnome, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Marla, I hate hearing stories like this. I do too. It's kind of icky. They got a 21-year-old wasted on a company credit card, had some sort of orgy with her. We would never know the level of consent that was involved. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Gnome, I absolutely agree. She wanted him fired. Yeah, well, he is fired. She is fired. Jamarl, rape does not require force. Cynthia, no, but it requires non-consent. Would you agree with me on that? It does require a non-consent. Meaning, you have to tell me no. I need to at least understand that you're saying no to me. It's like, come on. Come on. It's like the hounds are out. They want to tear the guy apart. He's a human fucking being. Like, I think I would feel this way about anybody. If something had happened with AJ. In fact, when Jordan went after AJ, I felt the same way. It was like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you attacking AJ? Yeah, and I feel the same way about this. It's like I understand the guy fucked up, fair enough, but why bask in the fucked upness of his life at this point? In the article that Jordan wrote, he was like, I no longer have funds to put up a defense or something. I don't want to read that shit. I mean, anybody in a situation where they're losing their funds, you have all of these people who are getting their videos demonetized. Go back and look at those videos. And those people were freaked out because they didn't have access to resources, the things that they needed. I didn't think it was funny when it happened to them. Why would I think it's funny that it's happening to Jordan? Because, particularly for something I consider just be a fuck up. It could be a fuck up. It may be a long-term fuck up in a sense where he didn't necessarily understand, hey, maybe I shouldn't act this way at work. That type of thing. But it's a fuck up nonetheless. Life is ruined by this stuff. Like, yeah, it requires non-consent. It requires non-consent. H.A. Goodman is unbearable to listen to. Marlo, yeah, on this, absolutely. On this. Garden Gnome, oh well, Jordan was living it up on donations of the poor, desperate citizens looking for a ray of hope. TYT has a long history of misusing funds. It is sex without consent. How is it sex without consent? How? How is it sex without consent? He's interacting with her, and she's okay with it, and at some point she says no. Like, I'm missing how this is sex without consent. And even if you're going to say she was drunk, on her own testimony, Jordan was wasted too. Like, look, if women are equal citizens, meaning if you're going to tell me women's lib, and I damn sure believe in women's lib, I am a feminist on this. I believe you as a human being have all an equal faculty to me as a human being. That's the way I guard this. She's 21 years old. By law, she's an adult. Both of them were wasted. What am I missing? Which one has to consent? I mean, Jordan is making a move on her, and at some point she tells him stop. But it takes at some point to tell him stop. What am I missing? What am I missing? I'm missing how that's rape. He did not put his penis in her. Yeah, that too. Ben Kavanaugh. Jamarl, we have more important stuff to talk about. Jordan ran loose ship and shit went wrong, so what? Why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because I actually do want to talk about what Cynthia O is kind of having to go at. Meaning this thing of, this idea of consent and this idea of how men and women interact with one another with regards to sex on this front. I gotta be honest, I don't see what he did. It would be one thing if she said stop and he didn't stop and he just kept going. That would be fair. That's not what happened at all. That's not what happened. Cynthia, you can be raped by a person you're in a relationship with. I understand. Yeah, I know. But again, that rape will require non-consent. I don't consent to this and the person keeps going. That's not what happened. That's not, by her own testimony, that's not what happened. By the things that she said herself. Gardner, she sounds dishonest and Jordan and friends are scummy. Yeah, she did. I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to go after the person who's getting the story, but yeah, she sounded dishonest. Listen to it yourself. At one point, Tim Black even is like, it sounds like you were in a relationship. Like, she sounds pissed off. But it sounds like it's a retroactive, oh, I think I was. She's like, I think I convinced myself that everything was okay and I was along with it and I'm an adult, etc., etc., etc. And then later on, I decided that the original perspective was probably the right one. The original perspective was probably right. That sounded more right. That's all. She sounded very confused, yes. As she would, if she blew up her marriage to chase a guy to New York after she says who assaulted her. I hope she has a good support system to talk to. Yeah, Applegate, Dale Chomsky. Yeah, I agree. That's what it sounds like to me. She's like, my life is ruined. My life is ruined. I had a husband. I don't have a husband anymore. I don't have a home to go back to. Yeah, it sounds like she chased somebody who was not good for her and realized that she fucked up. And then after the fact called assault. Yeah, I agree. He did not put his penis in hers. She should have said, stop. No, please, I don't like this. Kay to let it happen as much as she did. Or they did. Chicky Rogue. Yeah, saying no would have made this a hell of a lot clearer. That's all. That's all. It's like you can't fully... Like, I think it's completely unfair to say we're equal, meaning men and women. But in the capacity of sex, if a woman doesn't say no, the guy can still be wrong. It's like, come on. Come on. It's one thing if you say no, the guy keeps going. Fair enough. Sex requires consent. That's true. But if you don't say no, it wasn't a situation she was asleep and Jordan jumped her. So that's not what we're talking about. That's off the table. She's awake. She doesn't say no. Certainly there's no such thing as implicit consent. The moment that she says no, he stops. This is not rape. I'm sorry. It's not rape. Even by her own story, this does not sound like rape. This doesn't sound like rape. Jacqueline Thompson, he is not a co-worker. He's her boss. Yeah, he's her boss. How long did it take How long does the live stream start? Anyone know? Just curious on how much I've missed. You missed 30 minutes. Jacqueline Thomas. Captain Obvious, you missed 30 minutes. Well, obviously missed 30 minutes. He's definitely not a rapist, though, Orthodome. No, I don't think so. Ben Kavanaugh, especially careless Mac Daddy 6. Yes, Ben Kavanaugh, that's true. That's mentally careless. When she said that, she's like, the girl came over, and they started having sex in the shower. And she's looking at, I can't think of the black guy's name. I can't think of his name. But she's looking at, the black guy who's in the room. And they're looking at each other like, oh God, that's inappropriate. And he comes out in a shower, like in a towel, and just kind of walking around the room, like kind of feeling himself. Yes, that's inappropriate. That's massively inappropriate. Again, some people wouldn't have bothered one iota. But you can't assume that your coworkers are going to be okay with the things that you're doing. And it sounds, honestly, it just sounds like he's extraordinarily open with this stuff, where it doesn't, to him, I'm just being me. He's looking at this, I'm just being me. I would imagine if somebody was doing that around him, he wouldn't think anything of it. He wouldn't think anything of it. I think he looks at this as informal outfit. The problem is, the people who are coming there, all these other people who are trying to be journalists, they're not there because they think you're fucking awesome. It's a job. It's a workspace. It's a workspace. Not a good career move. Not a good career move at all. Someone has asked the question before. You said, no, he did not. I mean, Cynthia O disagrees with me on this. So I'm reading her comments right off. Someone has to ask you a question before you say, no, he did not ask for consent before he started having sex with her. You understand, she was awake, right? She was awake. I'm missing. Look, I don't understand this thing where yeah, man, you can't. No, that doesn't work. I'm sorry, that argument doesn't work for me. You have a person, a human being. That human being is 21 years old. That person is 4 years beyond the age of consent, meaning that person can consent to sex. She is awake. Somebody is interacting with her, and at no point does she tell the person no or stop. The moment that she says, well, she starts freaking out or wigging out, he stops. And he's panicked by the thing. Meaning, even in her own testimony, he didn't fully understand that she was not on board with what was taking place. When he found out that she was not on board, he stopped. I'm missing the issue. Like, I'm missing how this is rape. I'm fundamentally missing how this is rape. It's okay to fuck your boss, but isn't your subordinate. Well, it is okay to fuck your boss. The problem is, you're going to end up with shit like this. Like, from the boss's perspective, the boss needs to probably not do that. From the employee's perspective, yes, you probably shouldn't do that. But ultimately, look, I would make a case that the choice in this is always this thing of, it sounds bad just because of the makeup itself. Like, yeah, man, it just sounds bad. It just sounds like, of course you can do those things. You can do whatever you want. If you want to hook up with your boss, you can hook up with your boss. It's just consequences. Particularly when one of the people are married and that person flips out. It's conflict of interest. Absolutely. Bob Ramirez. People are different. Excuses, nothing. They want a work assignment. This shit is forbidden, period. Bob Ramirez. I agree with you. No, I agree with you. I'm making this point, though, that people are different. I mean, there would be some people who would have no issue with how Jordan was behaving. But he doesn't know that. Like, he's on a work spot. Like, you're literally working with somebody else who's new to your group. And you're having sex with some. It's just bad. Yeah, it's bad. I agree with you, Bob. HA just realized it says right under Jamarl's name, how long ago? Oh, yeah, Captain Obvious. That's funny. Captain Obvious. And, yeah, that was obvious. Marla, there's a lot of gray areas. You can withdraw consent even after initially granting it. And she did. She withdrew consent at some point, or just said no. He stopped. Jamarl, this is disappointing. Giving him the benefit of the doubt as a guy. Cynthia, oh, it's not because he's a guy, Cynthia. It's because he's a human being. It's because he's a human being. So, if a female starts messing with me, let's flip the roles. Let's say it's reverse. People have an orgy. I'm laying in bed. And someone comes over and starts messing with me. I'm wide awake. I'm aware of what's taking place. You're telling me that that's rape? That in that moment, I am being raped? Yeah, it just doesn't fly. I feel like you're saying this purely because it's a woman. I'm saying this from a perspective of a human being. You have an adult. That adult sees exactly what's going on, and that adult does not say no. At some point, that adult says no. That has nothing to do with him being a guy. It has everything to do with him being a person. She's an adult. She made a bad choice. I mean, come on. You can't... my issue with this is they're calling it rape. That's my issue with this. That's my issue with this. Is she an adult or not? Do we need to make a law that says women under 21 or women 21 and under do not have the consent? They don't have the right to consent. They're dandelions. Women under 21 in no way can make decisions for their age. And because of such, they can't give consent. They can't give consent. They need to be watched over as citizens. Or are you an adult? Do women at 21 years old, are they adults? You can't have it both ways. And if you say that person is an adult, then that person has the capacity to see what's going on around them and say no to what's going on around them. She didn't say no. Or she waited till the last minute to say no and then freaked out saying that she was raped. Come on. No, that doesn't work, man. I'm sorry. It doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me at all. You don't mix orgies with work. Jacqueline Thompson. I agree. I agree. If all of you work together all the time and you guys just had that relationship where you can have orgies and work together, God bless. God bless. You're fortunate. You're fortunate human beings. Yeah, if you can get it on that way, God bless. But that is not the situation that was taking place. Clearly, one of these people was not on board with this orgy and she was being freaked out by it. And I would imagine that there will be a lot of women who will be freaked out by it if within a few days of meeting your boss, he's having orgies at work. So yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. I agree, Jacqueline. He should not have been fired. That is corporate safe play. The woman is play acting to make herself innocent. She is not. Laugh 66. No, I agree with you, dude. No, I agree with you. Like I said, I think he was a horn dog. Yes, I think he put himself up to it, meaning he put himself in that particular position, made himself susceptible. Agreed, yes. But I gotta be honest, I do not believe what that woman was saying. At least not most of it. At least not most of it. Her it just seems stilted. It seems almost acted. That's my perception of events. That's my perception of events. And by the way, that in no way makes Jordan innocent in this. I mean, he was over the top in his behavior. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Garnome, I bask in the failure of TYT experiences. Jordan was living it up on donations of citizens hoping for change. This is par for the course at TYT. Yeah, I don't bask in the failure of individuals, if that makes sense. Like, he's one of the things I actually used to like about Jordan and his reporting. He was a person. He was a person. He might have had an ego. He might have been, you know, oh my God, I have 200,000 subscribers. I believe that shit. Fair enough. But he was ultimately just a person when he was doing those stories. It wasn't like, you know, he was at this big corporate news agency and go from point A to point B. He was just a person. And he was going to stories that we ourselves liked. If it wasn't for him at Standing Rock, I probably would not have known about Standing Rock. Most people wouldn't. So yeah, I'm not basking in the failure of something like that. He was actually good at what he was doing. So no, I don't necessarily like the fact that he's being cut off in this way. That being said, I can't be shocked that they fired him. He was fucking having orgies at work. It's like, come on. Come on, that looks bad. That looks bad any way you cut it. That looks bad any way you cut it. I am pro-orgy. I am pro-orgy. So I am a lib on a lot of this stuff. I think all drugs should be legal. I think people should have sex more as opposed to fighting and guns and all this other stuff. I think we play up sex as a big deal as opposed to the violence that we have in movies. So John Wick can kill like hundreds of people in that particular movie. And that movie is just rated R. You have somebody who goes down on a woman in a movie that's like an NC-17. So, yes, I'm a libs lib on this. I'm a libs lib. But society and certain contexts have certain restraints. Let's be honest. Like, I can't bang the secretary at work or bang somebody who comes in at work. I'd be fucking fired if they found out I was doing that. So there are restraints. And when you're bringing people into that particular environment, yeah, that's poor choice. That's an immensely poor choice. Slap them on the wrist. Agreed. Poor choice. TYT fired them because they didn't want to deal with the consequence. They didn't want to deal with this, you know. Jordan said it was because of the clickbait. It wasn't the clickbait, dude. It wasn't the clickbait. There were reasons. There were reasons. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. TYT probably found out they had a liability. Yeah, probably. Probably. You have somebody screaming rape. It wasn't rape. Orthonym. No, it wasn't rape. Chink was jealous of Jordan. She could roll guy. I don't know that. Jacqueline Thompson. And by the way, Chink still has a job. Jordan doesn't. Jacqueline Thompson. Hey, this is happening across the country. People are being judged by the public and not a court of law. Jacqueline Thompson, you are right. You are right. You are absolutely right. You're totally right. It's almost like it's enough to be tarred by it. It's like the moment that you're tarred by it, you're guilty. In this case, it's odd because both sides have essentially aired out their perspective of what took place. Like, all of it just came out, including the testimony from the people themselves. Now, I invited Jordan onto the show to talk about this. I was curious from his perspective of what took place, because the other woman essentially gave a play-acted testimony on Tim Black. Yeah, she gave a play-acted testimony on Tim Black. So I invited Jordan to come on and give his perspective of events. Jordan is probably going to turn that down. He's probably not even going to answer that. It's like, I don't even know who you are. But yeah. That's it. This is playing out all over. It's playing out all over. How would they know if she kept quiet? So a woman being quiet equals she is ready for sex. Cynthia O. You mean being quiet and not saying no? Yes, that does mean that she's ready for sex. Yes. If she's not saying no and somebody is making a move on it, it is an implicit yes. Yes. And mind you, she's not asleep. She's not unconscious. She's perfectly aware of what's taking place. Somebody else nearby is kissing and giving her oral sex. Are you shitting me? Like, she's already engaged in sexual activity at this point. It's like, come on. Come on. Look, I understand you want to take her side on this. I don't know why you're taking her side. I don't know we're taking anybody's side on this, to be honest. And if you're listening to her particular testimony and the things that she said, and you listen to his testimony, and you listen to the testimony of the woman who was in the room, I'm sorry, it doesn't fly, man. It doesn't fly. One person is engaged in oral sex. Somebody wakes up Jordan. Jordan gets involved into the getting it on process. Getting it on process. At some point she says no, and he stops. I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what I'm missing. She was married. She destroyed her marriage in order to go with essentially Jordan. And she realized, oh my God, I fucked up royally. It wasn't consensual. I think I just told myself that I was okay with this experience. And I think my new reality is telling me that this was rape. It's like, come on, you can't retroactively go back and say, I didn't necessarily like the choice that I made, so I'm going back to the experience itself and change what I think of the experience. That's not fair at all. Jordan started against H.A. Amen. Initially, yeah. I mean, he did attack H.A. and he attacked Tim Black. He went after him whole hog. And look, I even made my video saying, what the fuck is wrong with Jordan? And why is he attacking H.A. and Tim Black? So that's absolutely flat fact true. But so what? So what? What they got to do with the price of tea in China? I mean, the guy lost his fucking job. Like, the thing, you understand that half of the country is poor. It's not like TYT is paying these guys a huge amount of money. At least I don't think they are. I don't think that at all. They're not this massive news outlet. He lost his job. Like his resources, his ability to access goods and services. He's lost his job. Now, if you lost your job, what would you think? Like, how would you do? Well, most people, half of the country is in poverty. Half of the country, more, I think it's like 66%, more than half. If they got a $500 bill, they wouldn't be able to pay it. Meaning, if their car broke down, if they got some kind of medical issue, they wouldn't be able to pay it. They wouldn't be able to pay it. Now, is he in this particular batch? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't necessarily think he's balling. I'm just making this point that losing your job is a big fucking deal. And you're losing your job under the pretense or under the auspices of being called a rapist. I understand that he started with HA. Fair enough. He attacked HA's content or whatever, his clickbait. Now, mind you, HA was out there saying that Hillary Clinton was going to be indicted. So let's not pretend that there wasn't any padding for it. You know, let's not play that game of, well, I mean, he did it out of, you know, no reason. Yeah, he shouldn't have attacked him. At the same token, it wasn't like it was out of whole cloth. Tim Black's was out of whole cloth. HA's not so much. I just think it's slightly fucked up that somebody's going through a difficult time in their actual real life, not this digital stuff. In real life. And they're being attacked while they're doing it. It's like they're basking in the glow of somebody else's failure. It's like, oh, dude, that's gross. That's gross. You know, however, whatever the tint or whatever the modest sprinkling that's put on top of the videos to make it look like I'm just trying to be fair and honest. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. Not so much at all. Garnome, don't feel bad for him. I'm sure he's fine in the Lower East Side pad. I guess he shouldn't have exploited the hopes of citizens for profit just like the rest of TYT. You can't have it both ways, dude. Y'all can't have it both ways. Like, if people would say, mainstream news never goes and talks to the people who I want to talk to. I want to hear about the poverty. I want to hear about the wars. I want to hear about XYZ. And then when they do it, it's, this guy is just using the poor for profit. This is just poverty porn. That's all this is. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. That's all I'm saying. You can't have it both ways. Marla79, cough, clickbait, Goodman, cough. Yeah, sometimes. Cheeky Rogue, the suck stops. This sucks stops. What? This sucks stop. No, sorry. Okay, I don't know what that meant. Cynthia, she's now disinterested. Jordan fucked with their livelihood unfairly. That's life-threatening stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. Ben Kavanaugh. I'm not sure you're talking about that one. Garnome, I agree with HA's tact as far as attacking TYT. I'm just saying it's a dick move to attack somebody when they're on their way down. That's all. Dale Chomsky, I feel bad for both of them. She's clearly not mentally well, or well, understandable to a degree, and she's got hung up. He's got hung before he could defend himself. Yeah, that's true. Like, so the thing came out, Jordan raped somebody. Like, comes out in Huffington Post in big splashy print. What do you do with that? Like, honestly, what do you do with that? As a guy, say you're completely innocent. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? Anything that you say at that point is still put in the context of you're a rapist. People who hate you and really dislike you are just basking in that, oh, this guy's a rapist, this guy's a rapist. And mind you, they're not going to do it in a way of saying it outright. It'll be, I mean, we don't know if he's a rapist. We don't know that for sure. But this particular blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he was hung before he could get his side of the story up. Now, the problem, the thing is, his best advocate is her. She is his best advocate. You put her in front of an audience and let her talk, and yeah, man, you're going to come away with this thing of, yeah, I think she's lying. I think she's lying. That being said, the aspects of her story that sounds true, that coincide with his story, and even coincide with the other woman's story, he was a horn dog. He was a horn dog. He was massively inappropriate at work. Totally inappropriate. Bob Ramirez, yeah, she didn't say no. That was the point. I feel bad for both of them. She's clearly not mentally well. Yeah, I feel bad for both too. I mean, her life, when I heard her talking about it, and she gets into this point of saying how she left her husband, and she's like, when I left everything. I didn't have anything. That's fucking sad. Like, that's immensely sad. You're talking about somebody who ruined their life with fucking Jordan. And I'm not necessarily saying Jordan is bad in this point, but I'm saying she lost everything. She lost everything. Yeah, I feel bad for her. I'm a lefty. I feel bad for her. I feel bad for both of them. I feel like he was behaving poorly at work. He did something he had no business doing. He was being far too informal in the process. That probably should have been far more formal, seeing that he wasn't necessarily friends with everybody who was there. She was out of, he didn't necessarily know her like that. And for being that way, like I said, I think he would probably describe him as being myself. But in being that way, he lost his job, he lost his livelihood, and was branded a rapist. And not just that, to have people who you've been antagonistic with laughing and basking in your failure. I think it's slightly fucked up. That's all. That's all. Burnouts hate good men since he woke up. Burnouts hate good men since he woke up. Is that what you call it? Waking up? I didn't like Jordan's phony attack on HA. I didn't either. I hated it. And Tim Black. But I also don't like the spiteful vendetta against HA. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Thank you. Same. That's my point. I made the video when it first came out saying, oh, dude, this is massively unfair. You're fucking all over the edge talking about Jordan. Because he was. It was like he attacked them just out the blue. Just lost his shit and attacked both of them. The stories that HA did and Tim Black did were right, by the way. Like the story that Jordan got mad about, Tim Black and HA were absolutely and completely right. Jordan's attack on them, not so much. Not so much. That being said, being happy at the guy losing his ability to feed himself is immensely spiteful and fucked up. That's immensely spiteful. I remember, look, when I was younger, I think I was around 9, I was abused myself. And I never looked at it as it was my fault. I always looked at it as he's a fucking asshole. Even at 9, even at a young age. I didn't take those, like I didn't internalize it in that way. That being said, I have to be honest, I did have a certain level of spite for the person. And I didn't tell my mom until I was like 24. Like it was like 20 years later. Now, hearing her describe what took place, I don't know, man. It just rings hollow to me. It just rings hollow. That's all. It doesn't sound. I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound like rape. Even in her own story, it doesn't sound like rape. That's all. I was done with HA after the way he reported the election. The Clinton's gonna get locked up thing. Ben Kavanaugh. Yeah, it would be difficult when the accusation is fake or not. He would be constantly have that hanging over his head for the rest of his career. Yeah, agreed. Tia Wheeler agreed. Agreed. Cheeky rogue. Then she was jealous. He was flirting with other girls. Yeah, that was the other part. Like, she's talking to Tim, and whether intentional or not, she's talking about how she was jealous because he was talking to other women on the thing. And it's like, why were you jealous? You just said he raped you. And story, yeah, I agree. Cheeky rogue, I agree. I agree. To mostly young, I have no love for the young turds myself. Gardner, Jamarl, he's able to feed himself, etc. He has upper middle income parents. Lower East Side Pat, you're way too soft. That may be true. I may be way too soft. That's fair. HA is such a hack. Anyone that actually reads his stuff will validly, with validity, is gullible moron. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That is wrong. That is way, yeah, that's wrong. That's fucked up. Cheeky rogue, you didn't internalize it. No, I didn't internalize it because I realized it wasn't my fault. But I fucking hated the guy. And I would joke him relentlessly. So he ended up going in prison over, like he was in prison for the majority of his life over one thing after the next. And I would joke the fuck out of him. And my mom was like, why are you so mean to so-and-so? And I was in a hospital. I was real ill. And I ended up telling my mom about it. And she thought, she was like, maybe he's delirious when he mentioned this. I was like, oh, it wasn't delirious. The medication doesn't work on me that way. And, you know, it's like, what do you do with that information? Now, in her case, yeah, it's like, what do you do with information? It doesn't help or doesn't hurt one way or the other. Yeah, I didn't internalize it. I was just pissed off at him. But it wasn't like this thing of not being able to deal with it. But I was odd in that way. I mean, my doctor said when he diagnosed me with kidney failure, he was like, I've been a doctor for 30 years. He said, I've never seen anyone have that reaction. I was 17 years old, and the reaction was no reaction. It was like, okay, no reaction. I didn't feel anything about it. Didn't know how to feel anything about it. I don't think it was all that special. I think it was not necessarily knowing what to expect. AJ is doing what Hillbots are doing to Jordan, attacking him using these accusations without proof because he already didn't like him. Yeah, agreed. That's my point. Yeah, agreed. That's the accusation I make in this case. It was already built in. It was a canned response. If Tim Black was accused of sexually assaulting somebody, do you honestly believe HA would be out here attacking him in this way and going with the story with this particular angle in every particular situation, acting like the guy's guilty? Fuck no. He'd be out there defending the guy. So, yeah, this is purely political behavior. 10-page. Oh, Brian Tan. Those are HAs. Ha 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 ha. Bridget Holmes. I think criminal behavior to proposition your young drunk employees. Mr. Jordan Chariton is a serial sexual abuser. He misappropriated our small dollar donations for sexual orgies. Fire him. Who is this? Who is this? Bridget Holmes. Go ahead, Bridget Holmes. I like your spunk. Sage Watson. Laughing my ass off at 10-page V-book. It's just 10 pages? No way. He's not selling a book that's 10 pages long. I don't believe it. This is probably just how career ladder works at TYT. This is not Bob. Bob, this is not the way the career ladder works. Vid Estro. She's like this. She's like this. It's for you, hypocrite. I don't know what that means. AGT Dale Chomsky. It's one thing to have anger towards a person. That's natural. But you can't misrepresent the situation because of that anger. It's difficult, but it's the ethical thing to do. I agree, man. I agree. I just didn't like it. It just seemed mean-spirited. That's all. I was like, oh, dude. The first one I watched, I thought it was funny. I was slightly stoned, and I thought it was funny. I was like, wow, this guy's going over the top. And I was like, certainly he knows that this is over the top and apparent that he's doing this because he just disliked him from the beginning. Meaning the story is tilted specifically in a political way to attack the person because he doesn't like the person. I was like, that's immensely clear. Like it's like you would have to be on his spectrum to such a degree where what he's saying just sounds natural and right to you, for you not to believe or not to come away from watching those videos like, oh my God, he's so biased and he's attacking this guy, not necessarily caring about the facts. So, yeah, I agree. If TYT fired him for having sex with his employees, I don't think he has a leg to stand on. Crack Rocks agreed. Yeah, I agree. Bridget, what you think doesn't make criminal happens to need to be against the law. Matt Bruns essentially said, yeah, you can't call the guy a sexual abuser. He's not a sexual abuser. It's not against the law to have sex with your employees. TYT Politics Crew is just a bunch of young journalist grads, totally immature and green. We should all think back to when we were that age. Amen. Yeah, agreed. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. Bridget Holmes, please understand this. You cannot use your position of power to sexually abuse your young, drunk, impressionable employees. This was the definition of abuse. Fire him. Well, they did fire him, Bridget. He's out on his ass. Your boss is not your king. He's not your emperor. He's just your boss. He's a person. These roles are not necessarily real. These roles are just created in companies. That's all. That's it. There's no barrier. There's nothing stopping you from doing anything with your employees. And them being your employees is not like it's your kid. It's not like... No. They're adults. They're adults. So, if one adult decides they want to sleep with another adult, that is legal. That should be legal. That should be legal. That would be a weird relationship or weird law to add in saying that one human being can't sleep with another human being. That's fucking insane. She was an adult. She was an adult. If you want to say that women who are 21 shouldn't be able to consent to sex, that's a different conversation. That's a different conversation. If you want to say that women are somehow the weaker species or the weaker sex, and in such a way because they're the weaker sex, they shouldn't, you know, consent. Or consent is totally this thing that they have to verbally say, yes, I consent to this, and here's my contract. It's like, come on. Come on, they're adults. They're adults. I believe in women's lib. As a woman, you have the right to say no. You just have to say no. It wasn't he was forcing himself on her. He didn't pry her legs apart and thrust himself into her. None of this stuff took place. You can make the case that there's this kind of soft pressure that's applied because it's her boss and she wants to please her boss. Maybe. Maybe. But a 21-year-old woman got drunk and wasted. And in getting drunk and wasted, she ended up in an orgy. They didn't force her to do this. I don't even think anybody was plotting to do this. For the most part, she made choices, just like everybody else at that particular place made choices. Those choices led them to an orgy. Under normal circumstances, good on them. Good on them. The more love you can give and put in this world, the better off this world is. Everybody needs to be on board. One person wasn't on board. She didn't make it clear that she wasn't on board until the last minute. At which point he stopped. He stopped. This argument purely depends on this idea that the woman shouldn't have a, you know, the woman is this kind of flower that is just lays there, that doesn't have the capacity to give, that has to give consent in these harsh verbal ways. Come on. She's getting there being eaten out. And the other guy's laying beside her. And they end up hooking up. At some point she stops. She doesn't want to continue. And he stops. It's like, what else do you want? That shit, man. She's an adult. Either she's an adult or not. And if she is an adult, are you telling me that adults have to go beyond this idea of consent? Meaning, it's not enough for Jordan to hook up with her and everything else. She has to be able to get across to him that I would like you to stick your penis in my vagina. And anything less than her saying that is somehow less than consent. Come on, I'm sorry. She's laying there having sex. She's in the middle of an orgy. She's in the middle of an orgy. Jordan gets involved in that orgy, and at no point does she tell him to stop. When she finally tells him to stop, she's wigging out. She's wigging out. And by her own words, by the way, that she's wigging out. But by even Jordan's testimony, they went downstairs to talk. So yeah, there's probably some truth in this idea of her saying, "Oh my God, I've just slept with Jordan Chariton, or I just had Jordan Chariton put his fingers in my vagina." Whatever that was, whatever the conversation was. The fact that at some point she told him to stop means at any point she had the capacity to tell him to stop. She just didn't do it. Can't call the guy a rapist when the person didn't tell him to stop. It's like, come on, it's fucking insane. He leaves to go to sleep. She crawls into his bed naked and somehow he's a rapist. Yeah, I know. This just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. Jamarl wishes he lived in Huxley's Brave New World. Judder's heart. I haven't read all of that book, by the way. I've only read some. Captain Obvious Sex. Yeah, Jamarl, yeah, read that one. Where is it? Civil Disobedience, Japan leading the charge. What? I don't know what to think. Dickgate. Jason. Is that what we're calling this? Penisgate? Dickgate? He never put his penis in her. He never completed the job. Yeah, apparently he ate her out and he put his fingers in her. And at some point she turned over and freaked out and she says, "I don't remember if I went to sleep. I don't remember what took place." It's like, you don't remember if you went to sleep? She was like, he might have went to sleep beside me. At some point we went downstairs and talked. So yeah. Bonergate. Yeah, Bonergate is more funny. She was like, he had an erection. It scared me. It's like, oh my God, it scared you. It's like, what? It's like, why did it scare you? She was like, I was terrified of his big black penis. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I thought it was going to come and get me. Garnome, TYT donor gravy train must end. According to Wes Clark Jr., Chink blew $20,000 in one night on gambling in Vegas. No fucking way. You got to show that. You got to put a link to that. You got to put a link to that. You totally got to put a link to that. And you understand they also make their own money, right? Like, everything is not a charity. TYT was making money before they started doing charities. Chink can use the money whatever he wants, at least his coffers. You know, we're talking about Justice Democrats or something else, or people giving donations to TYT for media. That's different. But yeah, I need to see. I'll give you the link via Twitter. Okay, I want to see that one. I want to see that one. Ty, that's it. Now, Crack Cross. Ty had an erection, but he did not impale. He did not have sexual relations with that woman. Let him go. Yeah, Ty didn't have. She liked Ty. That's the part. She was like, Ty was a respectful gentleman. She says, I like Ty. Ty would look out for me. Ty would try to, you know. But yeah, she said Ty was kissing the other woman. And she says he had an erection. And I was terrified. I was like, oh. I was cowering at that big penis. I was terrified. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but come on. That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. I think that's funny. Personally, I think that's fucking hilarious. He had an erection. I was terrified. Oh man, this has gotten really vulgar. I'm sorry. This has gotten really vulgar. Oh, black dick, dong dong dong. Yeah, Krishnada. Barbara Marina, Anna's plastic surgery bill alone must boggle the mind. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's real wrong. Brian Tan, she sounded like a ridiculous person. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say that. Crack Cross. It should be noted that Wes Clark Jr. honestly seems to have had a mental breakdown. He is intense. He is intense. I would say watch that video where they were going down to Standing Rock. And he was saying, we're going down there to get our asses kicked. And he starts flipping out like one issue after the next. Yeah, he's intense. Okay, Jamal, you're beginning to love this a bit too much. Calm the excitement. Yeah, I know it's funny. Sorry. Vinny Strill. Yeah. It's just funny. Wes Clark has gone nuts, but he isn't a liar. No, I don't think he's a liar. And I don't even know if he's gone nuts. I don't even know if he's gone nuts. There's such a thing as nonverbal consent. If your nonverbal intentions aren't clear, then use your words. Dan Howell. Agreed. Agreed. I would imagine if the woman is a sexual aggressor, the same rule applies. The same rule applies. When I was at Longwood, there was a woman at Longwood. Look, I grew up a fat kid. And because I grew up a fat kid, it took me a while to realize that once I lost the weight, like once I lost like 100 pounds, that how you perceive yourself is not how the outside world perceives you, if that makes sense. It takes years to get over that. Like it takes years to get over that hurdle of this kind of idea of yourself in that sense. When I was at Longwood, I hadn't necessarily got over that, not fully anyway. And so I don't necessarily like being pursued. I don't like being pursued by women in this way. It freaks me out. It's one thing if it's somebody who I like and it's kind of this mutual one person going after the other, but it makes me immensely uncomfortable. I am a double Virgo man. It makes me uncomfortable being pursued. There was a woman at the school who liked me and liked me a lot, and she would freak me out. And she would freak me out like no end. I had no interest in her at all, and I think that was the part that would freak me out. And it was one particular time all of us were somewhere. I think she was in a van or something like that. And she was like, hey, I have to tell you something. And she tried to grab my head and, you know, put me in. Now, technically, that's sexual harassment. Now, nobody in their right mind would say that was sexual harassment because ultimately it was a female trying to jump a guy. She made a pass. That's all I saw there. She made a pass. Roles reverse. They would have said that this particular congressman sexually harassed this particular woman and tried to shove his tongue down her throat. Which one is true? Is it sexual harassment? Or is it just somebody making a pass? And is it possible that both are true? Like, not everything is on these edges of, oh my God, this person raped this person. Or, oh my God, this person is a sexual predator. Oh my God, this person is a sexual abuser. That's all I'm saying. It's not... It's just some people are being pretty hard on this thing of, this guy's a sexual predator. And it's like, I've seen nothing to demonstrate this. I've seen nothing to demonstrate this. And like I said, some of this stuff is relative to the person. Some people tolerate this stuff better than others. I do agree that, yeah, he was immensely inappropriate. He was immensely inappropriate. And if he got fired probably because he was immensely inappropriate and it looks immensely bad. Having orgies at work, man, looks bad. In your personal life, fucking A. Have your satin sheets and all that good stuff. At work, with the new woman who's not getting paid for the job, no, not so much. Not so much. Human interaction is complicated through media. Marketing tends to show it's simple. This gets us to all kinds of trouble throughout our lives. Yeah, agreed. Nomiki did an excellent interview with Norman Lear, but the rest of her work is watching fingernails on a chalkboard to me. She did a really good one with Tom Perez, too. She did a really good interview with Tom Perez. She hit Tom Perez in the knees like nobody's business. Tom Perez was like, at one point in that interview, he's like, you're not asking me the questions that I want. Something to that effect. Like, it was some weird way of him like, yeah, you're not asking me the right questions. It's like, no, I am asking you the right questions. You just don't like these questions. Nomiki Khan started working on Clinton 2000 Senate campaign. She was part of something in Libya after the liberation sketchy. And then, yeah, crack cross all seems sketchy. PR Nomika is another DNC sheep herder. Yeah, she's a sheep herder. She's a sheepdog. Yeah, she's a sheepdog. I mean, did you see the thing? One of the items that came out of this, because they started telling all of Jordan's business. Like, any business dealing with Jordan and TYT came out. They started talking about everything. Jordan said Cenk fucks off. Jordan likes to attack Cenk. And Nomiki writes speeches and covers the person who she just wrote the speech for. I did a video asking, is that true? I want to answer to that one. I want to answer to that. Like, are you that interacting with the politicians that you're reporting on politicians that you're writing speeches for? It just seems over the pill. It seems way over the pill. Alright, this has gone over an hour. I was going to try to keep this to like 30 minutes. But whatever. I am curious on what people think about this, though. I've made my arguments. I'm not going to rehash those arguments. I've invited Jordan on the show. I don't think he's coming on the show, so don't get your hopes up. And just as a quick summary, I don't think it was rape. I honestly don't necessarily believe all of her story. The story just seems convoluted and jumbled. I do believe that he was massively inappropriate at work. I do believe he was a horn dog. I do believe they were having an orgy. And you're having an orgy with somebody who you just brought onto your team. And that person wasn't down for it. And eventually that person balked and said no. And yes, you stopped. So yes, I don't think it was rape. But yes, you have issues now. That woman lost her husband. She lost her life. In addition to losing her husband and losing her life, chasing you for that most part. Yeah, and she came out with the story. It looked like she retroactively looked back and says, this wasn't consensual. I changed my mind that it was consensual, and now I feel some kind of way about it. That's all. Yeah, I heard that too. Crack cross. Jordan called Cal gay. She said, that was funny. She said she was looking at Cal's videos and she was like wowing out, like, oh, I really like Cal. Cal is awesome. Cal is great, etc., etc. And Jordan was like, I heard that Cal is gay. Now, Jordan might have been fucking around and she might be lying. Who knows? But it's still funny. It's still funny. It's totally funny. Venstril, I believe her story and I do believe she was honest. I don't think she tried to implicate Jordan. By her own count, she fucked up. Yeah, I think she fucked up. That's all. Fuck ups happen, man. That wasn't a fuck up. I don't think, yes, it's a fuck up in retrospect. So let me parse this. because of how we are as people, it's a fuck up. Like, it's us as human beings. The act itself wasn't a fuck up. Them having an orgy wasn't necessarily a fuck up. The fuck up was how you deal with having that orgy. Meaning, if everybody was on board, have fun. If everybody's not on board and that person is a co-worker, you're gonna have problems. Unless that person is immensely cool, you are gonna have problems. And you had problems. So I'm trying to parse this thing that says it's the human element in us that makes it a problem, not the act itself. The act itself is just the act itself. It doesn't matter. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna kill this. Uh-oh. Bridget Holmes. Uh-oh, people are having to go with me. Great live stream, Jamarl. Please look up the notion of affirmative consent, coercion, and pressure from bosses who control the livelihood and paychecks is real. A fireable offense. He got fired. He did get fired. I'm just saying the guy shouldn't be put in prison for it. And I don't necessarily think he's a predator and all this other stuff. Look, I've agreed with this idea of there is an implicit pressure associated with your boss making him come to go at you, or being attracted to you, or pressuring you in this way. So I get that. I don't necessarily ignore that. But she is an adult. I mean, come on. Like, there's no law saying you can't hook up with your boss. Both of you are over age. She's 21. He's, what, 31 or something like that. He's 10 years older. Unless we're talking about rolling back women's privileges in this country, then we just fundamentally disagree. There is no way. I just don't think of him as being somebody's saying sex robot. Be mature to admit that you want sex when you want it. Yeah, no regrets. Yeah, I feel that way. No regrets. You had an orgy. Have fun. I mean, she starts fucking it up. I mean, and I'm saying, I don't believe her story on this. I gotta be honest. I heard her story and I thought to myself, this story just doesn't seem right. And Tim Black is kind of poking holes, saying, well, it sounds like you guys were in a relationship. Sounds like there was something there. He was like, I don't mean to do no harm. It just sounds like something was there. It sounds like you were jealous. Yes, it was massively inappropriate. It was massively inappropriate. You can make an argument that it was sexual harassment. You can make that argument. But when it gets down to them hooking up, then yeah, you can't. Until she says no, you can't fault him. Yeah, until she says no, you can't fault him. Dan Howell. Jordan runs an organization, Truth Against the Machine. Yes. Carly was either an employee or unpaid intern. Yes, that's true. Either way, it means Jordan had power over Carly's career. That's true. I agree. I'm saying, yes, I agree. There's this implicit pressure associated with it. I agree. I agree. But certainly that's not rape. I mean, I'm just making this argument that this is not rape. That's my bare bones argument. Sexually inappropriate. Yes. You shouldn't be having orgies at work. Yes. You're bringing in interns or people who are somewhat unpaid employees, and those people, you're kind of being really, I don't like to call sex vulgar, but you're swinging your dick about. Let's say it that way. And yes, that's massively inappropriate. Having sex at work, a little inappropriate. All of these things are massively inappropriate. So yes, I agree. There's no pressure you can apply while you're sleeping. And that's another thing. They woke him up. She was getting eaten out, and they woke Jordan up. So it wasn't like she was a dandy lying in a corner. She was involved in some kind of sexual activity already. Like, come on, man. This just seems unfair. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and consideration, Jamarl. So, thank you, Bridget Holmes. I know you disagree with me, so I appreciate your disagreement. Look, I am a consent extremist. I know that's not really a thing. I'm just making adding those words together. I agree with you that there's no such thing as sex without consent. Meaning a person has to give some level of, I am on board with this. Otherwise, it's rape. Flat fact. I see no black or white on that. But come on. She's engaged in sexual activity already, and the moment that she says stop, he stops. He stops. He's like, come on, man. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. I broke my virginity in a Dunkin' Donuts. Shit happens, man. See, the man lost his virginity at Dunkin' Donuts. Come on. I don't remember. I think I lost mine in college. Alright. I'm going to end this. Ooh, yeah, this is getting brutal. Oh, I don't want to end this because I love these conversations. Brian Tan, Dan Howell. So when a woman uses sex to further her career, it's okay, but a man is a rapist. The moral of the story is videotape all your sexual encounters. I love that. Or have a contract. Say, oh, I need you to sign this. I don't want to have any shit after the fact. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. TOT was glad to ditch Jordan. I don't think they were glad to ditch Jordan. Jordan was good. I'm sorry. He was good at his job. Video all your encounters. All of them. If you're having an orgy, make sure you have it videotaped. Make sure you have it videotaped. That's the advice that we've been given. TOT was looking at a major liability. Yes, that's true. They were. It was a major liability. Captain Obvious, I broke my virginity at a Dunkin' Donuts too, but then I learned that sex without donuts doesn't count. Fair enough. Oh, with a donut doesn't count. Fair enough. I fucked up your joke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. TOT was looking at a major liability and kept Jordan on. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I mean, because think about it. You have all these women who might have come up and it's like, he was talking sex all the time. He was hitting on me. He was this. He was that. And you have this woman screaming rape. And at the very least, even if you take the rape out of it, you guys had sex at work with one of your employees. Yeah, that's a problem, dude. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Bring the new meaning to body cams. Yeah, we'll put the cams in the living room or something, or video cams. Cause fuck, man. We're getting to the point where I need you to sign this contract, otherwise we can't have any relations. Check this for fellatio. Check this if you're okay with a little oral. Check this for a little BDS. What are you up for? What are you up for? It's like you break out of handcuffs and a whip, and then somebody says you had him in a cage or something. It's like, yes, we were in a cage, but we were playing around. And then it comes out, this guy's pervy. He puts women in cages. It's like, oh, dude. Yeah, I'm getting to think you're right, man. Videotape everything. Videotape it all. What's it? Anal beads. Check. Bridget Holmes, great discussion on toxic workplace environments. Good start here, I think. Yeah, and look, no, we agree on that part. That shit was toxic. But again, I want to make this point. It's toxic, contextually toxic. I wouldn't have cared one iota. I wouldn't have cared one iota. Somebody else, you might have had another female there that wouldn't have cared one iota. They might have even thought, I think it's charming that he talks in this way. But you don't know if everybody's going to be that way. And certainly you're going to get people from all around the country in all different ways that are going to look at some of the things that you're saying and be aghast by it. And to take it to the level of having sex with your employees is a little much. That's a little much. Even for my sensibilities. Blow up sheep and lube. Check. I have no idea. Oh, blow up sheep and lube. Right. Check. I don't think you need a check for the lube. Blow up sheep, yeah. Or the furry outfits. Like, are you up for furries? Check. Are you up for what are those devices? Those yannis or something like that. You can be in a location and your wife can be in one place. You can be somewhere else. You can control the device at a distance. Yeah, all sorts of odd stuff that you can check. MH, check. All of the above. You better be careful with all of the aboves. It's got some freaks out there. Got some real freaks. You have no idea what's going to be on that list. Never stick your dick in crazy. Yeah? Well, I've heard that crazy women are the best. That's what I've heard. I don't know that to be true, but I've heard that. That's what I've heard. Those are so odd. Beanwa balls. I don't know what those are. I don't know what beanwa balls are. Jamarl, imagine you started a new company and your management was screwing your entire... Yeah, no, I agree. Bridget, I agree. You... On this specific point, we're in complete agreement. We're in complete agreement. Yeah. My ex was crazy. It's true, but after a while, it's not worth it. Yeah. One of my best friends, well, at the time anyway, we used to play chess. He was messing with this woman, and he hadn't talked to this woman in God knows how long, because he always said, this woman is nuts. And for whatever reason, they started talking, and they ended up moving in together. And yeah, she was nuts. She was nuts. Her being nuts, that the fascination with that ran off real quick. He got to the point where he tried to leave, and he waited till she went to work. And he stayed home, and he packed all the stuff up to get out the house. And he says, I was making good time. I was feeling myself. And he says, I started slowing down, and she came home a little early, and she caught me. And he says, this is an awkward conversation. Yeah, it's a fucking awkward conversation now that you packed all your stuff, because it would be like, you were just going to leave and not tell me you were leaving? Yes, that is exactly what I was going to do. So you can imagine that didn't go well after that. But she would like leave notes on his car. She was just a weird shit. Yeah, it was odd. She was odd. Have you seen the author of the original article has an obvious Instagram with Jordan? Yeah, it did look like that, right? Yeah, it did look like that. I mean, particularly when you don't have anything back up the story other than just a person's testimony. Brian Tan, that's because Carla didn't try to date Chelsea and get denied. Oh, that's funny. Chelsea Lyons reminds me of my ex. It's fun until people get their feelings hurt. Dan Howell. Yeah. And you know, it's I can't say everybody's been in relationships with somebody got their feelings hurt, but there's like a big bug in here that people got their feelings hurt, but it always sucks. It's not one of those great things. There's a net in here that's annoying the shit out of me. Yeah, it's not a great thing. It's not a great thing. I remember this is when I was younger. I was clearly before my wife. I was talking to a woman that went to school at a place that I worked, and I told her, I was like, I know you're interested. I said, but this is probably a bad idea. I'm not the most emotionally available person in the world, I'll tell you anything you want to know. So I am open to a fault, but I think through this stuff in this kind of intellectual ways. I've said before, pot kind of opens my heart center, but usually I kind of function on this heavy thought level. Which means I am a libs lib. I am perfectly open to these type of relationships. I just don't want you to feel some kind of way after the fact. She says, I am an adult. You can't tell me what to do. I'm a grown woman. You can go fuck yourself thinking that you're this, all this, God's gift to women, all this other stuff. So I said, fine. You're an adult. And what ended up happening was that woman, if we met today, she would probably stab me. I didn't do anything bad to her. Everything was consensual. Everything was above board. But at a certain point, she asked this question of like, so what are we? Like, I'm driving her home one day. She said, what are we? What do you mean, what are we? We're two people in a car going home. I'm taking you to your house. Well, I was telling my mom about you. Why were you telling your mom about me? What? When did this take place? And after a while, this whole thing of I'm an adult and everything else went by the wayside. And it became me making the difference between, I was splitting an apple. And I was just kind of making this point of, well, we're friends that happen to, we're friends plus. Yeah, we're friends plus. We're friends that just so happen to also have this other thing on the side. Yeah, but how's that different than a boyfriend? It's different than a boyfriend because we define it as being different than a boyfriend. A boyfriend, girlfriend, those things aren't necessarily real. They're just explanations of what people are. Our designation is just a designation that we give it. That's the difference. Now, this didn't necessarily go over well. That didn't go over well at all. That example of that explanation was like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, if she met me today, she'll probably stab me in the ribs or something. I didn't do anything wrong at all. It's just those things go bad sometimes. They go bad. I've had this other situation where, yeah, man, it just goes bad sometimes. In her case, she was married. The husband found out. She left everything that she knew, and she's looking back on it and saying, no, it wasn't this consensual thing. I didn't like what was taking place. And I told myself at the time that I'm an adult, that I made this choice, etc., etc., etc. But now, looking back on it, I don't think I made that choice. So now I'm going to call it rape. That just seems massively unfair. That's all. Massively, massively unfair. They have devices specifically designed for that. She wanted more. Jamarl played dumb. You think she wanted more, play dumb. Primal, I worked with a guy who would make his wife rest her cell phone between her legs in restaurants and sit across from her and call her constantly. You know, yeah, they have devices like that. It's called like a Yandi or Yambi or something. They have or the woman can have it and you can ring the cell phone and, you know, have fun with your wife. Yeah, they got that. They're already primal. They already got it. You're welcome. Yeah, it's a comical world. Yeah, yes it is. She was 21, married, and already left her husband. Well, she left her husband for Jordan. Yeah. And then seriously, that's a good question because I'm a deep sleeper. My girlfriend wakes me up in the morning and I tell you something, it's like a dream. Oh, you mean like you wake up and you're kind of out of it. You're just kind of in this mechanical state, not fully being aware of what's taking place. Yeah. All right. I'm going to end this. Oh, holy shit, we have 94 people watching. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. I'm going to end this. This has been going on for an hour and a half, so I'm going to call it a day. Good talk. Like, I do like having the conversations where you have people who are against your perspective in a sensible and honest way. I think that's kind of the point of the conversations. That's why I like these. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. Good conversation. I like it. I like it. So this is probably going to be my final judgment on the Jordan thing, unless something else comes out. But hearing it from her herself, I felt like I had a pretty decent perspective of what she's saying. So I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support through Patreon. Thanks, everybody.